Hey guys, welcome back to the Rocky Broad Solar channel. I'm Ryan. Today we're looking at the Wiren U5 stackable battery system.
While Xander's putting together the server rack, I want to talk about the Wiren U5 battery system. The Wiren U5 is built as a dedicated power module using a lithium iron phosphate system designed to deliver stable voltage, clean communication, and predictable behavior. It's engineered for situations where your power hardware needs to act like a part of the control system, not just a battery sitting off to the side. The U5 communicates clearly with upstream equipment, behaves consistently under load, and gives you power you can trust. The rack itself does a lot of work. The rail keeps the battery locked in and stable. The enclosure keeps dust and accidental bumps off the hardware. And a standard footprint keeps everything looking clean and intentional. It's the kind of setup that helps stay organized even as you upscale. Scaling is straightforward. Each module adds 5 kilowatt hours, and nothing about your layout changes when you add more. You stack another U5, parallel the DC lines, update your COM settings, and you're done. No redesigning the rack, no rerouting cables, no tearing apart what you already built. It expands in a way installers wish all modular systems worked. Once you get your hands on it, the front layout is what really stands out. Everything you actually need to touch is right there. Your DC lugs, your CAN and RS-485 ports, and a status screen that gives you the real numbers: voltage, amps, state of charge, and any faults. You don't have to crawl behind a rack or pull half your gear out just to land a cable or check a reading. You walk up, wire it, verify it, and move on. Electrically, the U5 runs a 51.2 volt lithium iron phosphate pack with a nice flat discharge curve. It doesn't nosedive under load. The BMS does what you'd expect: balancing, overcurrent protection, thermal monitoring, and it talks cleanly to inverters over CAN or RS-485. If you're in Western North Carolina or any of the surrounding areas and you're looking for a pro to install solar or battery storage on your home, head down to the description. You'll see our Rocky Broad Solar intake form. Just click it, spend a couple of minutes telling us about your setup, and we'll get back to you within a few days with a zero-cost, pressure-free quote.
In the box, you receive the U5 battery module, a little battery manual, a positive and negative battery cable, as well as a 11-inch communication cable. As far as tools needed, you'll need a 10mm, a 13mm, socket wrench. It's not a bad idea to have your voltmeter handy. So once the batteries are slid into the server rack, it's a good idea to make sure that the breaker is in the off position. Go ahead and slide it all the way into position. And then using the included screws that come with the server rack, let's go ahead and get these all attached. If you removed all the caps like I did, now's a good time to go ahead and put those back on. So now the only exposed terminals are going to be for our home runs. Before attaching our home runs, I'll bring our attention to our fuse here. We're going to install a second fuse block with a 300 amp fuse. From there, we'll land on these battery terminals that are going into our 12000XP inverter. We'll be installing our second fuse holder just beneath this first one. I want to point out the order that we layer everything is very important. What we want to do is make sure that our fuse is laying on top of the washers here. And then we'll connect our cables. We'll then put a washer over top of the cable, split washer to keep it from backing out, and then finally our nuts. All right, so what I have in front of me here is 4 equal lengths of 2-watt battery cable. I have Magnalug 2-watt battery lugs and some heat shrink. So we're going to go ahead and attach these lugs, and I'll show you guys some tricks with working on this fine stranded cable. Forgot to mention, I also have a hydraulic crimping tool fitted with a 2-aught die, ready to go once we get these stripped and ready. Dealing with fine stranded cable can be a huge pain. You can see how super small those conductors are. And then once you strip it, it's really difficult to try to get all of those pushed inside the lug without it bunching up really badly. So I'm going to show you guys a quick trick on working with this fine stranded cable. So I like to take my lug and kind of line it up on the jacketing to see exactly where I want to make my cut. I have found using a utility knife to just gently score the jacketing the whole way around is very helpful. And you'll see I've just gotten through the jacketing here. And now I'm going to be really careful not to actually pull this whole sleeve off. I'm actually going to make another small cut just inside of that. So I don't know if this is going to show up well, but you can see I've got the jacketing cut into 3 pieces. So what I want to do is actually leave my skinny middle piece, completely remove the first part of the jacketing. Then I want to carefully slide this small ring right up to the end of my conductors here. And what this is going to do is actually keep all those nice and in place for me while I feed it onto the lug. And then I'm going to let that push down with the lug as I push down on it. And then my very last step is going to be to cut that ring of jacketing off. that we left on. Push this on. And now we don't have to worry about any little frays coming off of here. Then we're going to pop this into our crimper. So I'm laying my crimper down to kind of get it all in frame for you. But we want to make sure that we're nice and centered on the battery lug. And then we're just going to slowly work the hydraulic crimp tool. Once it's got a good grab on it, you can then come out and really work it. And if you look at those dies, you'll see that they're almost together. I like to bring them right to where there's just a little gap on them. And then we'll release it. There's our crimp. Then we'll grab our heat shrink. We'll feed the heat shrink on. I see a lot of people like to use a lighter. I think a heat gun's the way to go. I'll be careful not to focus on one spot for too long. But as it's going, you'll see it start to shrink up. And there's our battery cable.
If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, drop a comment if you've got questions or want us to cover another piece of gear. And if you're into real-world solar and power hardware talk, go ahead and subscribe. We've got plenty more coming.
Now that all of our cables are made up, we're going to go ahead and get everything terminated. I'm going to start at the bus and land on our fuses, working our way back to the batteries.
This is just a quick reminder, there's links and coupon codes in the description. Grab what you need down there. This pretty much wraps up the install portion. Stay tuned while we fire it up.
We had to do a little bit of off-camera troubleshooting. We were having some issues with communication between the Wiren server rack and our EG4 12000XP. I wanted to give you a quick glimpse at how we resolved that. So despite having these as two separate parallel runs, going back to our bus bar and EG4 12000XP, we do need to have communications running continuous through all 6 batteries. Once we did that, it's important to note that there is both an RS485 and a CAN, along with making sure all of the communications are daisy chained. It's also important to make sure that all dip switches are in the correct orientation, and you'll see them here. And that's just following this table in the battery manual. I also want to mention, we'll tidy all this up. This is mostly just for our demonstration. We'll go back through and clean this all up and do a follow-up video. Make sure you're using the orange battery communication cable that's been provided. Like I said before, we want to make sure that we are plugged into the CAN port, not the RS485. And on our 12000XP, we are landed in our battery COM port. Now to power the system on, we'll go through and turn on all breakers and hit all power switches. On the display, you'll see battery state of charge, voltage, as well as further menu options. Also had to do a quick chat with Signature Solar to inform us that the battery type is important here. For third-party batteries, they said to use the number 6 setting, and since then we haven't had any issues with communication. We're seeing everything pop right up.
As always, I really appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Till next time, take care.